The terrain is the decisive factor in the intensity of each hunting trip. Today, I'll take you to 3 vastly different landscapes: vast plains, treacherous cliffs, and snow-covered hills. Each terrain poses a unique challenge. Thick snow hinders movement, open plains leave you exposed, and a single misstep on the cliffs could cost you your life. Yet it's in these very places that the tracks of wild boars are most distinct. They ravage fields, destroy forests, and instill fear in the surrounding communities. Our shots are enough to subdue these stubborn prey amidst nature's challenges. Join me as we embark on this journey. Kicking off the journey. Join me as we head to the plains of Kansas, USA. We've prepared everything for this hunting trip and are hopeful for a successful outcome. After an hour's drive, we arrived at the ideal hunting ground, a vast grassland with no cover for those pesky wild boars. The hunting dogs were released to track the boars' trails. The dogs were chasing a group of wild boars, driving them straight toward us. It charged right past us, and I immediately fired, taking down one boar, while my teammate simultaneously dropped the other. A promising start to today's hunt. Leaving the plains behind, we continued our journey to a harsher terrain, the steep cliffs of the American West. The rugged landscape demanded meticulous preparation. Safety ropes, binoculars, and high-precision sniper rifles for long-range accuracy. Clinging to the rocky edge tops, I spotted a target moving through a narrow crevice. Swiftly adjusting my scope, I pulled the trigger. The single bullet hit its mark, and the beast tumbled down, motionless among the cliffs. departing the treacherous cliffs. Join us as we venture into the snow-covered hills of the northern United States, a frigid, silent landscape brimming with hidden dangers. Thick snow, biting winds, and slippery terrain demanded specialized gear. Anti-slip boots, thermal clothing, and cold-resistant scopes. Not long after moving out, we spotted a massive wild charging like a whirlwind. I quickly took aim and fired. The beast collapsed, completely subdued. The gunshot startled another stray boar, causing it to panic and scramble for an escape route. I signaled for silence, quietly raised my rifle locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The bullet struck its shoulder, dropping the prey. Instantly, everything fell silent. Having conquered 3 challenging terrains from vast plains to treacherous cliffs and freezing snowy hills, which hunting trip thrilled you the most? All were conducted in full compliance with local hunting regulations. If you love adventures like these, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming hunts. Wild boar hunting has long been an essential part of life for many hunters. It's considered an effective way to protect crops and control one of the most destructive wild animals. Each hunting trip usually starts early in the morning and can stretch into the late afternoon, demanding patience, tight coordination, and sometimes a bit of luck. The chaotic barking of hunting dogs echoed across the empty field, and instantly catching the hunter's attention. Without hesitation, he followed the sound and just minutes later spotted a wild boar that had strayed into the crops. Trailing right behind were two fierce dogs, relentlessly harassing and cornering the boar. The situation was a golden opportunity. But the first shot didn't end the chase. The boar reacted in a flash, darting away with surprising speed. Drawing nearer, he found his moment. The wild boar collapsed on the spot, bringing a heart-pounding pursuit to an end. Wild boars are currently among the most dangerous invasive species in many countries, especially in the United States, Australia, and parts of Europe. With an extremely fast reproduction rate and devastating destructive power, these animals are estimated to cause over $2.5 billion in damages each year in the US alone, particularly in agriculture. They are highly intelligent, adapt well to various environments. Hunting dogs and firearms remain some of the most effective tools in rapid response eradication efforts, helping to temporarily reduce wild boar populations in hotspot areas. A dramatic wild boar hunt is unfolding in the rugged lands of Anadolu, led by a team of seasoned professional hunters. Wild boars are known for their speed and incredibly sharp reflexes. Then the gunshot breaks the silence, tearing through the still air. The wild boar takes a direct hit, writhing in pain. It's a moment that showcases an astonishing level of precision from the hunter. Hunting wild boars is no different from a real-life survival game. Seasoned hunters are like master-level gamers, facing off against a tough opponent. Wild boars that are fast, numerous, without calm nerves and sharp judgment. Hitting your mark becomes nearly impossible. And yet, these hunters can bring it down with a single deadly shot. Like the elite skills of a top-tier gamer, but this isn't a simulation. This is 100% real, where every decision leads to a real consequence. Across the vast open field, the hunters set out once again, accompanied by their loyal, battle-hardened hunting dogs. But this time, the mission goes beyond just hunting. Their goal carries a greater purpose: to protect the cornfields, now heavily ravaged by wild boars. A wild boar was fleeing in panic, a desperate sprint to escape the relentless pursuit of the hunter. Every step it took was soaked in fear, but that hope was fleeting. A single gunshot rang out swift, the boar collapsed, writhing in its final moments before silence reclaimed the field. The hunt ended as quickly as it had begun. The result? A hunt more successful than anyone could have hoped for. This wild boar hunt wasn't just an ordinary hunting trip, it was a vital part of a broader effort to control and push back a threat that directly endangers agriculture.
short days in Greece have given me countless unforgettable experiences. One of them is the wild boar hunting trip in the Aramanthis mountains in the freezing winter. Here, natural predators are becoming increasingly rare, causing the wild boar population to grow uncontrollably. I, along with a few friends, set out on this hunting trip. From this experience, I understood why the Greeks still keep the tradition of wild boar hunting as an integral part of mountain life. After a simple breakfast, we sat in a familiar vehicle and headed towards the Aramanthis Mountains in western Peloponnese. It was the wild boar mating season, so they were moving around more, providing favorable conditions for hunting. Thanks to the snow, we could easily track the boars' whereabouts. I closely followed their tracks, moving quickly as a feeling told me the prey was very near. And sure enough, a dark shape came rushing down from the opposite mountain slope. I fired in time, one clean shot. The boar fell and slid down the slope. However, I moved closer and fired another shot because, in the forest, certainty is always the most reliable companion. Not far from me, Gilbert was also in position, continuously firing when a whole herd of wild boars appeared unexpectedly. However, the boars weren't easy to handle. They ran like the wind, weaving through thick tree trunks in a maze-like manner. Even though Gilbert tried to stay close, it was really difficult to aim under these conditions, and in the blink of an eye, the entire herd vanished from sight as quickly as they had appeared. After about half an hour of moving, we had reached near the summit of the mountain. While still on the move, Gilbert and I noticed unusual movements from the trees beside us. Hunting instinct urged me to immediately raise my rifle and squeeze the trigger before the wild boar disappeared into the brush. And with just one shot, the target was neatly taken down. A quick, efficient shot, just the way I like it. Upon reaching the mountaintop, the air became even colder, and the snow beneath our feet grew thicker, but the sound of barking dogs echoed like a reminder that we couldn't stop. In the blink of an eye, a dark figure suddenly appeared. Gilbert steadied his rifle and fired a decisive shot. With the close distance, this time the boar couldn't escape. The race with the wild boars became more intense than ever before. Seizing every moment and every opportunity, we continued our hunt that afternoon. The hounds remained by our side, helping the team locate new targets. The snowstorm thickened, and we had to move down for safety. We set up a temporary small tent, and I sat waiting for my teammates to return. While sitting alone in the silence, the sound of the hounds and gunshots from afar woke me up to immediately raise my rifle. I aimed and fired decisively. The boar collapsed in the midst of the heavy snowfall. I had completed an unexpected hunt. The rain stopped, and under the gloomy sky, I still pressed on, looking for the last targets of the day. Hiding behind some wild branches, I silently observed the wild boar's movements. Waiting for it to reach the right position, I gently raised my rifle and took a decisive shot to end the chase. After the shot rang out, the wild boar fell, marking the end of this challenging hunting trip. The challenges we faced throughout the journey were not only about hunting, but also lessons in patience and determination. Thank you for joining us on this trip. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
I've hunted wild boars in many places, from the cornfields of Texas to the rugged hills of Georgia. But nowhere has taken my breath away every single minute like the swamp hunt in Florida, where every mistake is paid for in blood, or even life. Unlike other hunts, this time we use bows to take down the boars. Today was a sweltering day in July. Before dawn, I set out with a 3-person hunting group, which included Rick, a seasoned hunter, and the couple Thomas. We had prepared everything. The bows were strung, the arrowheads were as sharp as surgical blades, and our camouflage suits matched the forest terrain of Florida. In the early morning, the forest was eerily quiet, making every sound feel vague and chilling. We followed a trail of fresh boar footprints imprinted in the mud, signs of a herd that had just moved through. A herd of boars was busy eating the corn bait we had scattered the day before. I took a deep breath and drew my bow. All sounds seemed to vanish, leaving only the beat of my heart and my breath. The arrow left the string with a soft, heavy sound. It let out a scream, leapt up, and rushed into the bushes, blood pouring along its path. The rest of the boars scattered in panic. I followed the trail and found the wild boar's carcass over 100 meters from the point where it had been shot. After taking down the wild boar, we realized this area was teeming with them. We decided to split into 2 teams to increase our chances of getting more. Rick and I formed one team, setting up an ambush to the south. We climbed onto a raised shooting platform and readied our bows. I didn't have to wait long. A herd of pitch-black boars stepped into range. I aimed, drew the string, and released. The arrow hit its mark, striking one of the boars. It didn't drop immediately. It still had the strength to run, but the trail it left on the ground would lead us to it soon enough. About 500 meters away from us, the Thomas couple also ambushed and took down several wild boars. With the number of wild boars harvested, we all felt excited and more motivated to continue the hunt. Our targets were all large, fully grown wild boars. They cause significantly more destruction than younger ones, and moreover, are in their reproductive age, so they need to be eliminated quickly. In many areas of Florida, we set up various types of bait traps to attract wild boars. About every 2 hours, a herd of wild boars would appear. The bow and arrow were always in a ready-to-shoot position, just releasing the string, and the arrow could pierce through the boar's thick skin. By late afternoon, the sky began to pour a heavy tropical rain. We regrouped and approached the lowland area where the herd of wild boars was gradually coming out of the forest. The rain masked the sound of footsteps. That was our advantage. We got closer and hid behind a bush, clearly observing more than 10 large wild boars feeding. All of them were big. The target was the largest wild boar. We stood in the rain, our bows soaked, everything tense like a tightened string. The arrow flew through the rain, striking a wild boar and bringing it down. We returned to the gathering point as the sun began to set behind the palm forest. All the wild boars were butchered and preserved in the freezer. They are a food source that any hunter in Florida knows how to process. That's the end of today's video. How did you feel about today's hunt? Leave your comments below to let us know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. I took down my first wild hog right here in this forest 14 years ago. Back then, I was using my father's old rifle, hands trembling, missing the first 2 shots. And yet today, I'm back in the same place. The gear has changed, my experience has deepened, but the thrill of stepping into the woods, that stays exactly the same. The heavy rain 3 days ago had turned many forest roads into sticky mud bogs. But we had anticipated that, so the team moved in using a swamp buggy. While on the buggy, we took the chance to discuss strategy. The wind was blowing from the southeast, and in just about an hour, it could shift as the sun rose higher. Luckily, within the first 15 minutes, our target appeared. Nathaniel signaled to stop the vehicle, then calmly raised his rifle. The hog was only about 15 meters away, not a problem for him. A single, clean shot rang out. The target went down instantly. Right after that opening shot, we split up according to plan. I looped around downwind, taking cover behind a dense thicket that gave me a clear view ahead without revealing my position. The team formed a half-moon formation, closing in on a group of hogs peacefully foraging ahead of us. I raised my gun and squeezed the trigger. The hog dropped on the spot. About an hour later, we arrived at the trap site we'd set up the day before, a low-lying area thick with grass and shrubs, perfect for hogs to stop and feed. Just as we predicted, they were there. From a rocky outcrop overlooking the site, we saw the hogs nosing around the trap, unaware they were in our sights. A loud crack shattered the stillness. The spotted hog screamed, then quickly went limp. Just 10 minutes later, we reached the next ridge. As soon as we arrived, Nathaniel spotted a target. I sprinted to the opposite side to set up a blocking position. Bang! The hog bolted downhill, funneled into a narrow slope. One clean shot. My bullet struck a shoulder. On our way back down the mountain, I unexpectedly spotted another hog. A dark blur shot across the trail. So fast, I didn't even have time to react. After a successful hunt, we returned with the spoils piled on the vehicle. The meat was divided into smaller portions. The shoulder and ribs were set aside for a morning barbecue in the garden.